Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply. It's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
This is Science for Humans with Dr. Jeff Galini.
Or as he's affectionately known amongst the Facebook followers, Supplement Santa. How you doing, Supplement Santa?
Merry Christmas. I'm doing good. How about you, Carl?
I mean, you got to get a kick out of yourself with these boxes. People ask you for a sample of Carbolin or something, and then they post a picture of like a box. I mean, one of these giant boxes of stuff that you send. I can't believe this is what I got from Dr. Jeff today. You've got to be tickled to death, right?
You know, it has been a lot of fun, and I know that, people are shocked because, they're thinking they're going to get a little sample of something. And like you said, I sent them a whole box full of stuff, and a lot of them, have reposted. They've taken everything out and laid it on the counter. And like you said, they've been calling me the Supplement Santa. I always say, hey, keep an eye out for Santa FedEx.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. I enjoy making people happy.
I would be remiss if I didn't say what I'm about to say right now. It is such an honor to partner with you. You are such a different kind of a businessman within the supplement industry on so many different levels. Not only your if the audience only knew how stringent and strict you were about the label design for Thrive Protein, and we had to, no, we can't do that. We can't say that. That's not right. Even though, and I'm like, but Dr. Jeff, other companies do that. And you are always steadfast, almost like a father. I understand other companies do that. It's not right that they do it. We're not going to do it. And aside from the fact of the quality of product that you produce, you have remained below the radar, while other companies are posting pictures of fancy cars and all this other stuff, trying to attest to the success of their company. For 35 years, you have been a foundational player in this industry, but yet you're so humble. How is that?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think Arnold said that a long time ago, and he used to have some statement about, if the guy who's driving the Volkswagen, he's squealing the tires, trying to show people, how fast that car is. And then you got the guy in the Lamborghini. I mean, he barely is cruising at 25. I think when your products speak for themselves, you don't need to tell anybody how good they are.
Right.
That's why I like giving people samples. You saw just kind of the Facebook chatter that started about Thrive. I mean, how people were really digging into, well, who's making this? What is this about? Well, as you know, it has to be perfect. That's how we run this business. We don't do like other companies. We don't cheat. Sure, other people are a little bit loose on their labels, but, at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to be 100%, transparent, upfront and honest with people.
Yeah. No, but that's a core value for you. That's not just a business value. That's how you lead your life in general.
It is. And that's part of my faith. I learned a long time ago, you have to be, you have to have integrity. You got to be humble. You got to be appreciative, and you got to always do the best you can for people. And I think, as that carried into my athletics, my business, that's my life. What you see is what you get. There's nothing else going on. You know what I mean?
And with that being said, what you see is what you get. You had amazing arms back in the day. Do you remember how large they were when they were at their largest, when you were still competing?
I think they were over 21, 22, something like that. Back then, I think we didn't really get too much into all the measurements and stuff. I think every once in a while someone would bring a tape measure in, and that's about the time, David and Peter Paul would look at each other and decide if they were feeling big that day. If
Right.
not, they'd scurry off, and whoever was there would measure their arms or something,
Right. So really, I guess arm development was more a part of fitting into the rest of your physique as opposed to just having huge arms in and of themselves.
It was, part of building a physique, I was looking at some of the pictures of yesteryear bodybuilders compared to today's bodybuilders. And, we were about symmetry. And although I was, one of the more thicker type lifters, so I was kind of moving into the new era, we still had the smaller waist and the symmetry. So, when I started lifting, I had a weak part, and my arms were actually one of my weak part. My legs always grew fast. They used to joke I would do forearms and my calves would grow because they just grow without me doing anything. But I struggle with my biceps. My triceps weren't bad, but I had to really work them hard, Carl.
Okay, so there are 3 parts to arm development, right? The upper arm, which is comprised of 2 muscle groups, the biceps, triceps, and then the forearms. So where do you want to start?
I'm going to start with the bicep.
Okay.
I would start, Tim Belknap taught me this when I moved into Gold's Gym. I used to do everything, easy curl bars, and when I got out there, Tim said, no, if you want to get your arms up to speed, you got to isolate these things. So we did seated dumbbell curls. And that was the start. That was the heavy movement. And he always would get on me for being strict. Don't be slopping around like a powerlifter, he used to say. So he'd get behind me and stick his knee in my back, and I'd have to use more strict weight, posture. But, again, alternate curls, bringing it up slow, squeezing at the top, taking it all the way down, a full extension. And I would do about 5 or 6 sets of those, and I progressively work my way up in weight. So my last set would be my heaviest weight. But again, I would not do less than 10 reps. If I had a weight that I couldn't do 10 times, it was too heavy.
Right.
I wasn't getting anything out of that movement. That movement helped me to generate thickness to my bicep. That was something originally, being a power lifter, we didn't do arms. So I didn't really have a thick bicep. I had fairly good triceps. So that was my opening exercise.
You think the doing it seated keeps you from rocking and cheating, huh?
Yeah, I would, sometimes I would mix it up and do, easy curl bars. But if I did, I would use one of those arm blasters that you used to see Arnold use.
Yep. Joe Weider came out with that. You strapped it over it had a strap that went over your neck, and it had leaned against your chest, and then it had 2 little, let's say, cuffs in the back on the ends that went back so you could rest your triceps against it while you were doing curls.
Yep. And you didn't cheat. As a matter of fact, a few years ago at the Olympia, somebody was selling those. I had to buy one because they're cool. But I wouldn't mind doing those. Again, it was about isolating, because if you start to rock and put your back into it, I see people look like they were doing a leg movement. They were doing biceps. It just wasn't good. And you got to fully extend. In order to really develop that muscle, you've got to extend out. So that was my primary lift that I did on a regular basis for the bicep. Then I would move on to, I needed to get more of a peak, which I never had. I needed to get more shape. So then I spent the rest of my bicep workout working on that. So my next movement would be a curl, would be on the bench with a slight, incline.
Right.
Rest. Now for this, I would use either a barbell or a dumbbell. And again, full movement down, coming up, squeezing and isolating. And I would just visualize, being inside this round ball, this bicep, and I would just see it growing, to, a coconut shape. That was what I visualized. So I would do 5 sets of those. And again, never less than 10 reps, always squeezing, concentrating. It wasn't about just loading a bunch of weight up. Matter of fact, half the time I would use less weight than other people, but I was looking for that squeeze, that concentration of that muscle. Then I would move on to a finishing. I really like one arm seated, and I would put my elbow against my knee, and I would do what we used to call a concentration curl.
Right.
And again, just bringing it up, squeezing, turning the wrist slightly as you come up, bringing it down. This one I would do about 15 reps. Again, 5 sets, not very heavy weight, just finishing. And that was my bicep workout. I guarantee, some people did a lot more than me, but anyone who tried to do that workout, and do it the way that I did, you couldn't do any more. I mean, your biceps were fried.
Would you do triceps on the same day?
No, typically, during my competition days, I would do my biceps with my back. So I did everything pulled. So I would do my back, my rear delts, take a little break, take in a little bit of carbs, and then I would do biceps, or I would come back later in the day and do biceps just by themselves. So that was a workout by itself.
So then you'd come back on another day where you were doing push movements, and that's the day you would do triceps, right?
Correct. Then I would do the tricep. Now this again is a much larger muscle. And I learned a few tricks because I had, my triceps were really good. I think it was probably one of my better parts.
You know what? Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's take this break now. I'm sorry to force you into this break. Let's take this break now. And I'll tell you why, because I want to try disconnecting and reconnecting with you because we're getting just a little bit of clipping here and there. So let's go ahead and take the break. When we come back, we'll finish up with triceps and we'll talk about forearms. We're talking with Dr. Jeff Galini. This is Science for Humans. Today it's the science of building massive arms, not twigs, trees. We'll be right back. Do you know how to properly use carbohydrates to ignite your performance in the field and in the gym? You will now, thanks to this free book by EFX Sports. The Carb User's Guide for Maximum Performance reveals why omitting carbohydrates from your diet can totally crush your gains. Ever wonder how many grams you need for your specific sport? Not anymore. We give you the critical number you need to dominate your competition. You'll even discover the super carb that's taking the athletic world by storm. You must try it to believe it. Go to getcarbolin.com/carb guide today and get your copy absolutely free. Once again, it's GETKARBOLIN.com/CARBGUIDE.
Now, the #1 best-selling non-hormonal anabolic agent at PredatorNutrition.com. Progenadrex has established itself as the category killer. If you're having difficulty gaining muscle while staying lean, you owe it to yourself to try Progenadrex. 100% of store reviews rated it at 5 stars, the highest possible ranking. And today, right now, there are guys pouring their hearts out in the gym with little or nothing to show for it. Don't waste any more time. Go to PredatorNutrition.com today and get Progenadrex, the world's absolute best drug-free muscle gainer.
Even for extraordinary people, it's all about motivation. Getting going and focusing is easier said than done. That's why people like you with big goals and bigger dreams are turning to Exact to feel motivation now. Exact delivers the breakthrough mental energy you crave and unleashes your creativity. Exact combines precise levels of 6 ingredients that greatly improves brain power and produces intensity. Many of our customers say Exact brings them instant gratification, making them feel happy, bright, and attentive. We say Exact delivers, guaranteed or your money back. Go to xactmind.com to get your trial pack absolutely free and experience life with the motivation, focus, and drive it takes to realize your potential.
Ever feel like you want something crunchy? From the company that gave us the Quest protein bar, now comes the Quest high protein potato chips with 21 grams of high quality protein and only 5 grams of carbs and no artificial ingredients. Just like Quest bars, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to superhumanradio.com and click the Quest High Protein Potato Chip banner ad today and get ready to be satisfied. Thanks to Quest Nutrition, chips just aren't what they used to be.
AnabolicMinds.com is the premier website for credible information on building muscle, burning fat, supplementation, and more. With over 100,000 active registered members and over 2.5 million posts, it's one of the largest communities on the internet to get help and answers to your questions. It's also the place that the official Superhuman Radio Forum is hosted. Visit AnabolicMinds.com today and get into the action. AnabolicMinds.com. Learn, teach, leave.
Eat dessert again with the new 100% natural line of high-protein, low-carb Quest protein bars. I love lemon cream pie and strawberry cheesecake, but you can choose from chocolate peanut butter, coconut cashew, or cinnamon roll as well. No matter which one you try, you'll feel like you're eating dessert. But this is no ordinary dessert. With 20 grams of high-quality whey protein isolate, 17 grams of prebiotic fiber, and sweetened with stevia, these bars will make you feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to superhumanradio.com and click the Quest Protein Bar banner ad to learn more about these clean and delicious protein bars.
There are a few products that I believe in the way I believe in Can-C eye drops. I've been using Can-C for 6 months now, and the changes in my vision are nothing short of amazing. My near vision has improved, and I can read small print from 8 inches. My overall vision is clearer, and the glare from oncoming headlights doesn't bother me any longer. Just 1 to 2 drops a day, and the results are visible. You can find Can-C eye drops at wisechoicemedicine.net or call 800-861-4936. That's 800-861-4936. wisechoicemedicine.net. Can-C eye drops. The name says it all.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. Don't hate us because we feel good.
Welcome back to Science for Humans. Dr. Jeff is giving us the Christmas gift of bigger guns. So we talked about biceps in the last segment. Now we're going to talk about triceps. So triceps are done on a different day. They're done on a day when you're doing pushing movements already, right?
Those triceps. So I would start with building that long head. So I would go to a lateral pull-down machine, and I would go out to a very wide grip, and I would do a push-down. Again, trying to keep my back as straight as possible, trying not to cheat. And when I got to the bottom, you really squeeze. And again, whatever muscle you're working, you've got to concentrate on that muscle so that you're putting all the tension there. And I mean, the lower part of my arm would just swell up. Matter of fact, just thinking about it, squeezing here as I'm talking to them, they're starting to swell up.
Wow, that's amazing.
5 sets of those. Again, 10 reps, progressively working up to my heaviest weight. Then I would go to a bench, and we used to call them skull busters.
Lying, French. Sometimes they call them French curls, lying extensions. Yeah.
Now this is where, one workout I would go close, which would work more of the upper head. The next workout I would go wide. It would just depend on, how I needed the development to grow. So if I was getting a little bit too much lower and not enough outer, then I would adjust, a workout or two. But again, really strict, as heavy as I can go, 5 sets. The 15 rep range.
So five sets in the five. You clipped out. You 5 sets in the 15 rep range, right?
Yep, 5 to 10 to 15. Am I clipping there on you?
No, you were. We cleared it up. Go ahead.
Okay, good. And then I would finish up with. I would come back to the extensions on the machine. Now I would put one of those V bars, and I would go really close. And I would just burn it up. So, I would do 5 sets. This way, here I would do 15 to 20 reps. Sometimes I would just go to failure till I just couldn't do anymore. And that would really blow up that outside. But that was my basic tricep workout. Sometimes I might throw in close grip bench or, something different. But those are my primary exercises that I depended on for most of my workouts.
Well, and let's not forget, if you're doing biceps after doing heavy pulling movements and you're doing triceps after doing heavy pushing movements, you're really doing a lot of volume because they were it's not like they weren't part of the previous work that you just did. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. They were warmed up and ready to roll. So, you just kind of really finished them off.
Okay.
And then I had good forearms because I worked my forearms. A lot of guys at that time, didn't do any forearms. So, they had these skinny little forearms and then they would come to a nice looking arm. But again, it's all about being symmetrical. Forearm movement. I like taking a dumbbell, getting on my knees, getting a bench and just letting my wrist just hang off the end of that bench. and palms up, and I would do 25 reps. Again, not really concentrating on heavy weight, but squeezing full extension down, and it would just burn up the outside of my forearm. 5 sets of. Then I would take a straight bar, and I would turn my palms down, and I would reverse the movement. And then this gave me a really thick, beautiful looking forearm.
Brachial, yeah, because that's going to hit the brachial, the radialis, which is the top part of the forearm. Yeah.
Yep. And those are the 2 exercises I really almost only used. I didn't do a lot of hammer curls or some of the other things you can do. Not that they're bad, but that's really what worked best for me.
Yeah, and from your powerlifting days, heavy grip work, which was a byproduct of heavy deadlifting, that obviously pays off too. I've had great results making my forearms grow by doing farmer's walks with heavy weights. I mean, if you're using dumbbells, they want to unwind. They want to make your hands unwind. If you're using kettlebells, it's not as much. But if you grab a set of 80-pound dumbbells and start walking around the gym with them, do that until your forearms are so congested with lactate that they burn, and you drop them. You give yourself a little time to recover, grab them, and walk some more. My forearm started to really grow when I started doing farmer's walks, and I wasn't doing them for my forearms.
And what you got to remember out there is you might have some strong parts. And I've heard people say, "Oh, if you have a strong part, don't do anything for that." That's not true. You've got to continue to work those parts, but you got to work your weak parts even harder.
Right.
So, even though I had weak parts, I didn't slack off on everything else. I just worked the weaker parts twice as hard, if that's imaginable, than I did the other parts.
Now, would you ever hit your biceps and triceps twice in a week? Because you used to do some of your routine was where you would hit a body part twice in a week, right?
Oh, absolutely. Everything got hit twice. It was 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on. So every part was hit twice.
Right.
So that's where, your food, your supplements, your rest is so important. You and I were talking about just sleep. I mean, that was one of the biggest things is I had to get a minimum of 8 hours. And that wasn't, laying in the sun was part of my sleep regimen. It had to be a full 8 hours at one time, because if not, you're just not going to recover.
Right. And then you did lay in the sun when you had the opportunity. You would go out to the beach and you'd lay in the sun in the daytime, and that had to contribute to recovery too.
It did. It was fun. Whenever I had an opportunity, especially when I got into that 16-week mode, where we naturally tan. We didn't use any of that fake stuff, you know. So going to the sun, laying out on the beach was just part of your regimen that you figured in. There was a swimming pool that we knew the manager, so he used to let us come there for a little more privacy. Sometimes you get, people come up and you're trying to just chill.
Yeah, right. Now, when you would lay out, you would wear your posing trunks, I guess, so that your tan line fit what you were going to be wearing on stage, right?
Yep, had an old pair of posing trunks that were you always made new trunks, so you never wore the same pair of trunks.
Right.
Because the oils and things, they just and then your body always changes, so you always had plenty of old ones that fit good. But absolutely, posing trunks, laying out, get the
nice real tan. None of that spray tan back in the day. That's for sure.
Us Italians, I would just get that golden brown look. I mean, that was an art too, because again, you had to present yourself. So depending on how you tanned, everybody looked different. Where nowadays everyone spray tans and they all look the same. There was a lot of individualism, between everybody.
Just skin color. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right. So there you have the Dr. Jeff's arm routine. Hit your arms twice a week using this protocol. I think it's exciting. And the other thing is give your arms some time. People are too in a hurry because they see these silly magazine ads where you can add an inch to your upper arms in an hour, and give your arms some time to grow.
Take time. And I just want to tell you, it probably 3 years or 4 years of really working them to get to, if you want to say, looking like the guys in the magazines. So it didn't happen overnight. It takes time. Bodybuilding is a patient sport. You got to patiently get to your goals and don't quit. Don't give up.
Yeah. Dr. Jeff, Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, man. And to you also and everybody out there, Merry Christmas. Hope you all enjoyed the packages. As Carl said, if you want to try something, go to Ask the Scientist. Send me an email. I got lots of stuff I'd like to send you. Follow me on Facebook if you want to see what's happening every day. Love to connect with you.
And we will talk again next year. It'll be next year, next time we do a show.
We're going to take a little bit of break here. Going to unwind a little bit.
Have a good time with the family, brother. Talk soon.
Thank you too much. You too. Bye-bye. Okay.